Is quist lach can seal. My name is Lach, which means water, shining, moving. And I'm Syilx Okanagan from the Okanagan territory. My mother was a ceremonial leader in our longhouse. That's the first thing that she would talk about. She would lift that water up and she would say, "This water is sacred. Nothing on this earth could live without this water, no matter how big or how small. And where it comes from, it hasn't ever gone empty. And where it goes to, it never fills up because of the cycle."
We live here in the Okanagan, which has so many beautiful spaces and so many amazing opportunities to interact with the natural world that the environment affords us here. The Waterways project brings together so many of these spaces, both environmental and cultural, into one location and stitches it together into a beautiful and immersive storytelling experience.
My role in the project was to bring all these elements together. It's a very complex and interdisciplinary project. Scientific research, historical research, and anthropological, ethnographic research that we brought together in the documentary format, which essentially reflects on the value of the water in the local Okanagan context.
The Waterways exhibit includes 7 large displays, which includes LCD television, 2 channels of audio. These boxes are distributed around the installation space. So when somebody walks into the space, they enter the room and they're surrounded by these TV monitors and acoustic space that you will then feel some immersion and be communicated the stories to.
I contributed the scientific data to the project and specifically helping out with creating the 3D immersive environment and providing the historical data that informed the recreation of what Kelowna looked like prior to colonial times. I think it's important to understand what we've lost and how much we've transformed the environment that we live in. We live in a world of continually shifting baselines, whereby our collective memory forgets what things were like more than the length of a human lifetime ago.
Along the shores of Mission Creek, there was different fishing spots. Each family had their own fishing spot.
By providing that kind of immersive environment, it allows us to take a step back, think about what it might have looked like in Kelowna for the people who were here 200 years ago. As you walked through that floodplain, what might you have encountered? There are so many species that no longer come to Kelowna. There were grizzly, there were caribou, there were elk, all moving through what is now an urban and agricultural environment.
I'm an environmental anthropologist and I'm primarily interested in human-water relations. That's what I've been researching for, well, almost 20 years now. The context here is a settler colonial context. And so that's where a lot of my research is focused, is on what we've done that has really not worked out well. And we need to change our ways, and we need to learn to respect the Indigenous people and their rights and their knowledge, and learn from them and work together with them to make things right. Socially in our relationships, but also environmentally in our relationships.
Having Syilx leadership within our team was critical to being able to learn about Syilx communities and also understand what's important. So in last 5 years, what we attempted to do is to follow and see what is the most important for the communities that we are part of, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, and how can we be there, capture that, and then turn that into immersive environment so that we can all learn.
I think this is actually probably one of the most important projects I worked on. And it really comes down to creating awareness, building education for non-Syilx people. We can see the change, the drastic change in the last 10 years in my short lifetime. So there's a huge change. And I don't think those values of really looking after and taking care of and taking responsibility of the natural world is apparent in Canadian society. And I think this project kind of helps bridge that gap. Bridge why settlers, why non-Syilx people need to be stepping up, taking responsibility, taking ownership, because they live here too.
The water doesn't have any boundaries. It can't be contained in one location, in one area. So our responsibilities need to include that. You have to work on informing the people. You have to have viable practices that provide sustainability to people. That's essential.